after I published this, Judith Regan, who's here today, who, as you all know, has been America's most successful publisher for the past 15-odd years. So Judith approached me, and we did 4 books together. And she loved the Jewish content of those books. The most recent one was 10 Conversations You Need to Have with Your Children, which we launched on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And then I did another book with her called The Private Adam, which is about the Jewish views of celebrity. How do we look at the whole celebrity culture? It's a Jewish vision of heroism versus the Greco-Roman ideal of heroism. You know, for the Greco-Romans, a hero was a guy who wielded a sword and who slaughtered someone and felt like a real man doing it. For the Jews, it was someone who beat his sword into plowshares. Now witness the triumph of Jewish values in our time. Who are the greatest men of our generation? Cory has a picture of one of them in his office in Newark. Mahatma Gandhi, a man who beat his sword into a plowshare, refused to fight. Nelson Mandela, arguably the most respected political figure alive, who again refused to take revenge, who behaved like Joseph. When his brothers tried to kill him, an act of fratricide, he forgave them and achieved greatness through it. These are Jewish values, but no one calls them that. Our goal is simply to bring these values to the widest possible audience. You know, last night in Chicago, let me conclude with this. I was in a debate with the world's foremost Islamic apologist. His name is Imam Shapir Ali. He lives in Toronto. He has 2 doctorates. He's a brilliant man. The other one was Dr. Roland Jacoby, who was one of the foremost Christian apologists. The debate was about who is the better inheritor of the legacy of Abraham. And I gotta tell you, it was incredible. The Imam, who was such a fine, loving man, we all met before, we spoke for an hour and a half, we were joking, but the moment the debate started, the Imam says, Christianity has betrayed the legacy of Abraham and Islam is the real religion. And then Roland Jacoby gets up and he says, no. Islam is a fictitious religion, it's not real, and it's really, you all have to be Christian or you're not going to be saved. And I got up and I said, the legacy of Abraham was that we are all children of God. Judaism is the only religion on earth that doesn't proselytize. We don't try to make anyone like us. We simply try to enrich the world with our wisdom. And my friends, after 3,300 years of being locked up in our ghettos, after 3,300 years of choosing a self-imposed insularity, after 3,300 years of not sharing our light with the nations, the time has finally come for Jewish wisdom to percolate and reach the furthest corners. We're beginning to do that, and the idea of this organization, as I said, to magnify it and accelerate it, to create more exponents of Judaism. And the reason why, and now as I turn over to Mayor Cory Booker, the reason why Cory is so unique in this is that, you know, Cory Booker is now, after Barack Obama, easily the most noted African-American politician in the United States, but that would really be to diminish what Cory represents and who he is. It's not just that he's gone into maybe the most difficult job in America today to try to, Newark is a beautiful city with phenomenal potential, and Cory is maximizing that potential. But it's not just that. It's that Cory inspires people. And a lot of what he absorbed comes directly from Jewish wisdom. And you know, when he became the president of our L'chaim Society at Oxford, a lot of people said to me, you know, is Cory going to become Jewish? And I said to them, are you crazy? That was never the objective. Cory's a Christian. Our objective is to get people to find their identity where it is. I learned as much or more about the African-American heritage from Cory as he did for me about Judaism. But the fact still remains that Cory Booker, an African-American Rhodes Scholar, found great wisdom in the Jewish tradition. And he has now become the most sought-after speaker for the Jewish community in the United States. If I got 1/10 of Cory's invitations to speak in synagogues, I would be proud. He speaks at all the big UJA dinners. He spoke at the big APAC dinner here in New York. When I was at the APAC convention, the executive director, the president, David Victor, when are you going to bring Cory Booker to speak here? So the Jewish community loves Cory because they love the fact that he sees that we have something to offer and that he has contributed in turn to us an understanding of his tradition, of his heritage. And my friends, that is a Messianic community. When Isaiah spoke of the wolf lying down with the lamb, when Isaiah spoke of men beating swords into their plowshares, what he meant was not that we would just tolerate each other and stomach each other. He meant that we would come to be enriched by each other. So, let me also just welcome my very dear friend John Taylor, Cory's older brother, who's here today. Councilwoman Charlotte Benenshon, very dear friend of ours, who's a councilwoman here in Englewood. You know, the problem with mentioning names is that you begin to offend people. Obviously, the head of the JCC, thank you very much for being with us today. There's so many notables who are here. Rabbi Menachem Ganat, who truly is one of the most important rabbis in the United States, a world-class scholar, my rabbi here in Englewood. And the head of the OU, the Orthodox Union.
One person you don't know, I'd like to also represent Joe Benenshon, president of the Actors Fund Department.
Oh, thank you very much for being here. Is there anyone else I forgot? There's Michael Heller, the man, the legend.
Yes.
Michael Heller. Take a bow, Michael.
We'd also like to represent Sharon Bernstein, head of Defining Moment.
Yes, and one of the most righteous women in our community. Thank you very much for being here, Sharon. Is anyone I forgot? I know I've now offended like half the room, but
Your wife?
no, I'm about to get to my wife. Save the best for last, Cory. Thanks for reminding me. Okay. Just before I get to my wife, ladies and gentlemen, this little paragraph sums it up. Paul Johnson is one of the world's preeminent historians. He lives in England. I had the privilege and pleasure of getting to know him when I lived there. In his History of the Jews, one of the greatest histories of the Jews written, he writes, "To the Jews we owe the idea of equality before the law, both divine and human, of the sanctity of life and the dignity of the human person, of the individual conscience and so of personal redemption, of the collective conscience and so of social responsibility, of peace as an abstract ideal and love as the foundation of justice, and many other items, which constitute the basic furniture of the human mind. Without the Jews, the world would have been a far emptier place." Let's restore that. Let's bring Jewish wisdom to a higher plane. Let's make it available to all people through the channels of the media. And without my wife, my life would have been a far emptier place. My wife is expecting our 9th child, thank God. Yes, I'm a TV host, but we don't have a television. Now you understand. Okay. And now, my friends, without further ado, since I am merely a reality TV host, and in the American pantheon, you know, reality TV host ranks one step above single-cell amoeba. Okay. Far more important for you to hear from my very dear friend and an inspiration to so many of us, and a man who many of us believe will one day reach high national office and inspire a nation to discover its true potential, the one and the only Mayor Cory Booker.
All right, 2 reasons I'm here. The first one, and I'm sure people are asking, you know, why the HE double hockey stick is this guy here today? Well, the first reason is very obvious. I hope you know, as a man in politics, we've already seen what can happen to an aspiring young African-American candidate if a person of pastoral background gets out of line and begins to say comments that can be... So, Shmuley Boteach is my Reverend Right. And he has these tapes that he's threatening to release from our Oxford days, which could really tank my political career. So the first reason I'm here is very obvious. Fear is the first reason I'm here. But the second reason I'm here is a little broader, a little deeper, a little wider, a little more majestic. Look, I have a deep investment in this idea of America, in these concepts. And I listen, one of those corny people that when I listen to the national anthem, I get misty-eyed. And when we talk about the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to our heart that our flag was still there. To me, that's not just about the fact that a piece of fabric survived through a torturous night. What I really believe that line is talking about is the enduring values, the ability for the concepts, the dream, the deepest understanding of what America is, or more importantly, what it must be, was able to make it through and endure incredibly vicious and difficult circumstances.